Chileans, I received this mandate with humility and tremendous sense of responsibility. We have an enormous challenge. I know that in the coming years, the future of our country is at stake, so I guarantee that I will be a president who cares for democracy and does not risk it.
Javier Farje is a journalist and Latin America analyst. He joins us from London to talk more about this now. Javier, thanks for coming onto this program. Now, Gabriel Boric, he's really young. He's just 35 years old. He'll be one of the youngest world leaders. And in the first round of voting, he was actually behind Jose Antonio Cast. So how did he go about rallying people to really come out in numbers? Because the voter turnout in this election was also very high.
That's a very good question. He will be 36 when he takes office in March next year. There are two reasons which are linked, political and mathematical. It was believed that more people will come out to vote for the runoff, around 300,000 people who were basically in the regions where Mr. Cast was popular. However, 1.2 million more people turn out to vote in regions where, first of all, Mr. Boric had actually campaigned heavily, but secondly, in areas where he was actually popular. Many people who had not gone out to vote because of the pandemic decided to vote, and that made a difference of almost 8 points between him and his rival. But also, there was fears. Mr. Cast had expressed worrying sympathies for the Pinochet regime. And that the ghost of Pinochet is still lingering above the Chilean society. So that would have encouraged many younger people, many older people, but also younger people to come out to vote. So the 1.2 million people, extra people who came out to vote, made a huge difference, especially in the north of the country where Mr. Boric campaigned heavily, but also in the biggest cities in Chile, Santiago, the capital, and Valparaiso, the second biggest city. So those two elements are linked and made it possible for him. He becomes the first candidate to win a runoff election after having come second in the first ballot. So this is an extremely historical moment for Chile. Obviously, he's going to be the youngest president Chile will ever have, 36 when he takes office in March. But also, there's another element which is extremely important. He moderated his speech, his radical speech. He comes from the radical left. He moderated it and managed to get the support of former presidents Ricardo Lagos and Michelle Bachelet. And that actually increased his chances to win the second round. That is the main reason why we would say he won this election by such big margin.
So you talk about him moderating his speech coming from the extreme left, but what happens when he does actually take office? What are the policies that he wants to implement for Chilean society?
But also he wants to tackle inequality. He wants to deal with the big crisis of pensions in Chile, which is a big issue. It's a big debate about what kind of pensions people are going to receive. He wants to increase those pensions, especially for poorer people in society. One of the worries that some people have in Chile is how he's going to fund that. So he said that he has a sound plan to fund pensions without affecting the economic output in Chile. Second, there's already a constituent assembly which voted to change the Pinochet constitution, which means it's going to make it very easy for him because most of the people who are in the Constituent Assembly are from the left, which means that his left-wing program will be in many ways confirmed by a new constitution. That's going to make it easier for him to have a radical plan without going to the extreme. He comes from a protest tradition. He built his political career in 2011, during the first government of the now outgoing President Sebastián Piñera, and 2019 for social changes and the cost of education, which were the main issues for his campaigning. Ironically, he was going to take over from the very president who helped him, in a way, between inverted commas, build his political career. But the moderation of his program is going to enable him to get support from those areas like the Christian Democrats and the Moderate Socialist Party to implement his reforms. His reforms, as I said to you, pension and he's moderating. He has not changed his speech in terms of tackling the problem. He's changed his speech in terms of how he's going to do it, and he's going to respect market economics, which is something which many economists were worried about. And that's why he's going to be able to, he's being able to get all this support, and he's going to be able to rule, obviously, without much opposition.
And he's certainly got a big task ahead of him. Javier Farje, live to us there from London. Really appreciate your analysis.